Hey y'all, welcome to My Way Mysteries, the channel that brings you interdimensional content, which means that the readings are from a broad and expanded point of view as they are channeled through vast dimensions of space and time and therefore should resonate with you guys whenever you come across them. So today's reading is an iNkanyamba reading. I'm going to talk a little bit about iNkanyamba before I pull cards. So guys, unlike iNzunza where I kind of have given a fluid definition of what iNzunza is, with iNkanyamba you'll notice that the only way I tend to describe it is through the energetics of the template. And at the most, I will say that it is one of the highest frequency energies that you can come across. And the reason why there's no ultimate definition for it is because of the infinite nature of the energy, how it is, how it can come across as all these things, but is ultimately none of these things definitively. It is always so much more than those things. And then you get words. There's many names for such an energy, and Inkanyamba is just one of those like names. There's many other names, some of which I'm sure you guys would be afraid of. The same way a lot of you are afraid of the word Inkanyamba. But ultimately, all of these names describe an energy that is indescribable. All of these words are trying to bring forth an explanation of a frequency that is immeasurable. It's almost like the only way in order to define it is by being it. Do you understand? You can only really define it, even for yourself, to define the Nkanyamba energy is to be the experience of it. The only way to know it is to experience it. But what we do here is just the best we can in order to, yes, put words to certain aspects of this energy so that you can be able to better connect or better expand towards this energy about you that you can feel is there, but you two do not have so many words for it. Let's pull some cards. So I'm gonna pull cards for people that are able to feel the Nkanyamba energy within them. Today's energy for some reason has to do with yes, the ability of Inkanyamba almost to have many faces. And I know some of this information may put some of you off, but there's nothing I can do. I don't really do this in order to specifically put you on, like in order to please. And if it pleases you, I am happy for that. Got that. I understand that sometimes I'll say things that you feel as though what, but always know that it is never my intention to offend you. It is never my intention to make you afraid or make you skeptical of certain energies. My intention is to expand your consciousness, to introduce concepts to you that are very likely outside of what you've always understood things to be. And that is a good thing. That's how expansion of consciousness works. I'm not trying to play within your framework of ideas, of concepts of spirituality, of concepts of life. We already know what those are. I've also had them. We get that. I'm here to expand your consciousness, to take you outside of what you know, of how you think things to be, to introduce you to parts of yourself that you didn't even know were there, and parts of yourself that are very beneficial to the way in which you want to live life, but you didn't before have a connection to these parts of yourself. I will help you build a bridge to those parts of yourself. But it obviously involves expanding the way in which you see life, the way in which you understand certain concepts. So, the concept we're discussing today in relation to iNkanyamba is the concept of many faces. The idea of it's okay to, I see now what brought this about. Hey, these downloads are so weird, but I like how there's a link. There's always like a link to how this came about. So there was a comment in yesterday's reading, and African Fairy, you were relaying your story, and within that, you also spoke about how you're not trying to be a victim, but you are aware of the way in which things have basically not gone okay in your life. I'm completely paraphrasing, but it was the part where you said, I'm not a victim, that caught my eye, because it made me feel as though if I have made you guys feel as though being a victim or feeling as though you're a victim is some kind of like feeling that you're not supposed to have, and it's a weak feeling, no, then you've misunderstood me. And also, African Fairy, I know that's not where your point was. I'm just saying that that's what attracted, that's what kind of has led to this reading in this way, because I wanted to expand. Guys, it's okay to feel like a victim. If you feel as if someone is doing wrong by you, if you feel as if life is unfair and all of that, it's okay. When I talk in my teachings about moving from victimhood, that's what I'm speaking about. I speak about how you move from a space of feeling as though things are unfair, moving from a space where you feel as though others are to blame for your life. But that is not me saying you feeling that way is wrong. There is nothing wrong with feeling like a victim, with feeling the energy of victimhood. If that is where you are, feel it out. Do not be afraid of that. Do not condemn yourself for being in such a position because Zanne or other readers said, yeah, you shouldn't be in victimhood. Victimhood is so... No. All the identities are there for you to pass through them. You cannot go over them. They're there for a reason. You're meant to go through them and then ultimately realize the only way you can get to a stage where you realize that you're not a victim is by going through the part where you felt as though you were. There's nothing ultimately wrong with you feeling that way. I too have been there. Again, you have to have been there to get through it. It's okay if you feel as though things are unfair, if you feel as though life has been cruel, if you feel as though you are in a certain position in your life because of another person, and if they hadn't done this or that or this to you, then you would be in a different place. That is okay. That is where you are. You work from where you are. There is no point in damning yourself because of where you find your energetic vibration to be. Feel it out. The fact that you're still there means that there's still more information for you. It means there's still more for you to find out about yourself. And the last thing that you will find out about yourself within whatever face you are wearing at that time is that you are not this face. Because by then you will have created another for you to embody. You will have created a version of yourself that is able to get through certain issues, that is able to see that other people have no control over your life, even though they may do horrible things to you. It's nature's way of making you see certain things about yourself. One of those things being that you are able to get through whatever challenge is put against you. Because ultimately, okusalayo lento le ayiqedanga. So, for instance, you're in a situation where you feel lonely, where you feel as though the world has turned its back on you, where you feel as though everybody leaves you. In terms of yesterday's reading, that was in relation to the different ancestors that we walk with, and how sometimes you will emulate the energies that are within you being basically transmitted by that ancestor. You need to understand, again, it is an identity. This is not who you are. This is this ancestor. Your work is to move them into a space of healing, into a space of understanding. The same things that you want me to say to you as someone who is within that space, that is what you are being called to say to this ancestor within you. You need to understand. That's why I made yesterday's reading. It's not you. You are carrying energies from your lineage. You are carrying energies from your bloodline. You are carrying karmic cycles that began way before you were born. You have just inherited a certain emotion, a certain thought pattern, a certain emotional pattern. But it's not ultimately yours. It's yours as the inheritor of it, but it didn't originate within you. The only thing that's happening in your life is that you are also, or the cycle itself is also in collaboration with you, perpetuating certain circumstances that make this true because it was true for someone else in your bloodline. And so now, because it's coming up, you're going to attract certain circumstances that make it true here. So this person is ultimately living out this nightmare again through you. You almost have to separate yourself and understand, almost like you have a patient, and this patient has this certain issue, but it is not ultimately your issue. And when these issues now recreate a story in your life where you're like, no, but it is my issue, Zanne, because in this life, people have turned their back on me. Who are these people? If these people have turned their backs on you, why would you want them in your life? Why are you crying for people who clearly do not care about you? Why are you in this position where you feel as though you lack in relation to people that clearly have no love for you? So the healing process here is actually in being able to let go of people who don't treat you well, being able to let go of people that are not good to you, but then I'll be more alone. No, you're creating a new frequency, don't you see? In doing that, in accepting the fact that this person akankhathaleli, they do not care for me no matter how much I care for them. So in letting them go, I don't really lose anything. If anything, the reason why you would have to work very hard in order for someone to love you is because they don't love you. And even if you work your hardest, they still won't love you. It was never about the things. Abathandi. And that is a hard thing to accept. It is a painful thing to accept. Kunyilahle. And accept that. Because within that, you are transmuting the energy within the acceptance. It goes from I am not good enough for certain people to not everybody is going to like me, and these people do not love me. So there's no need for me to exert myself even more in order to do that. Instead, I hope for people that love me as I am. And while I'm waiting for that to occur, I am not going to hold on to people that do not love me as I am. While I'm waiting for my frequency to change so that I can attract people that will stay, that are loyal, that are truthful, I will, in the meantime, accept the fact that I am better off without people that are disloyal, that are manipulative, that require me to bend over backwards in order to love me. Do you see the cleansing? Do you see how cleansing works? This is energetic cleansing. This is real cleansing. The changing of the emotional pattern, the changing of the neural pattern, where instead you are the one that's not good enough. You understand that, why would I not be good enough? I am loving. I am supportive. I am hilarious. I am sweet. I am beautiful. Yes, I have a temper, but as soon as someone is able to make me understand something, I turn to 10 around. When I've done something wrong, I apologize. When all of these things, you start to change the energetic structure of the whole situation. This is cleansing. And while you're doing that, the frequency changes. You're building a new face. No longer one that is in a certain situation or thrives in a certain situation, but one that is now almost ready for a new situation. A situation, because the frequency is changing, you will attract new people, people that support you because they understand you. To be understood is to be loved. Because they understand you, because they love you, because you make them laugh, because they love the fact that you're sweet. Because even though you have a temper, they understand that it's quick. And as quickly as it shot up is as quickly as it goes down. And besides that, you're human. How does all this relate to iNkanyamba? Like I said in the beginning, iNkanyamba is all these identities. Or can flow into all these identities and flow right out into another identity. And the reason for that is because ultimately, iNkanyamba is none of these identities. It is all the identities. And someone with iNkanyamba energy completely understands that. And that's how you begin to understand flow. No matter how much you think you are within whatever you are within right now, tomorrow things can change because that is nature. And you, as someone who flows with nature, will begin to flow out of whatever identity you find yourself in right now and into a new identity. You're able to flow from someone whose identity was, I don't date this type of person, this is not my type, I don't really eat at this time of day, to someone who now says, well, but I find myself attracted to this type of person, and instead of holding myself back from my feelings because I have this identity that says I do not date this type of person, I instead flow into my new feelings that surprise even me. Yes, me is you in the story. That surprise even me at this current moment, because I said in my old identity that I do not date this type of person. My old identity, I said this person is too tall and I will not date them. But now I find myself attracted to this tall person. So will I hold myself back because I want to keep my identity? iNkanyamba energy doesn't do that. No. I will flow. I will step into a new identity, which now says, I now date tall people. My old identity said that I was a victim, and it said that nobody loved me unless I worked hard for it. and that is valid. There's nothing wrong with my old identity. However, there's this new reality that is opening up to me because I've met this one person, and I tried to overexert myself in order for them to love me because that's what my conditioning tells me I should do. But they said to me, "Why are you doing so much?" And I told them, "Well, it's because in the past, this is what has happened." And they told me, "You don't have to do that here. I think you're hilarious. I think you're amazing. I think I am so lucky to have met you. I've never met anyone like you." And so you realize I no longer have to have this identity that I had before. I am no longer a victim. I have now moved into an empowered state of being. Or my old identity was that I am a victim and people tend to always leave me. I have no one left. And somehow we change that neural pattern into you understanding that I have had to leave so many people in my life because it turned out, and I kept realizing as I was doing the inner work, as I was getting to know myself, I started to stand up for myself more. I started to speak up more and say when things are wrong. And the result of that was that a lot of people started to distance themselves away from me. It was not because I am not good enough. It was not because I'm ugly or fat. It was because I was no longer allowing them to treat me badly. And if anything, I'm glad they left. I'm glad I didn't have to do much. That which is divine separated them from me. And I'm currently in an isolation period, which is very, very lonely. However, I'm very excited for the new people that are coming towards my life. I'm going to pull cards. African Fairy, I realize how this ended up actually being about your comment. And I hope you're not offended. I am not calling you out or anything. I hope you understand my intention in using your comment is a lot of people feel the way you do. And I hope that this helped. And I hope, because I know people say it's not that easy, Zanne. You can't just try, boo. That's how it is. People will ask me, how do I cleanse? I keep telling you guys how. There's no potion. Now, when you are sad, when you are heartbroken, there's no potion that you're going to drink that is just going to make you suddenly be okay. It is about changing emotional patterns, changing mental neural patterns. How do you do that? Every day. It's in how you see certain situations. That is what expansion of consciousness actually assists you with. Not being stuck within your current perspective of the situation. How you see a situation is everything. Perception is everything. If you're able to expand that perception through expanding your consciousness, you will never be stuck. And if what I said feels like that's too easy, it can't be that simple, then you might just be at a stage in your spirituality where you're still doing a lot of the groundwork. Like concepts like transmutation of energy is more of a dark level. When I say dark, like if you look at my mentorship session, guys, so I've categorized the levels as dusk, dark, and dawn. And I've realized in my mind that's kind of like, yeah, how I put even the people that come book readings for me. I know when I talk to you, your understanding is either in the dusk level where we're still starting out. You're learning how to communicate with your inner self, with your inner world, with parts of yourself. You're just introducing yourself to parts of yourself that you don't see when you look at yourself in the mirror. And then you get the dark level, which is someone that has started this multidimensional journey that understands that there's more to them. than that which they see when they look in the mirror. That there's other parts of them that are maybe sleeping, but we are activating those because they hold concepts that allow this person to grow, to be more. Very much having to do with growing out of situations that hold you back, that restrict you, like pain, fear, anger. And then you've got the dawn level, and these are people that ultimately you understand the concept of transmutation, of changing lead into at least silver, where you know how to, when you listen to this reading, you know exactly what I'm saying. And African Fairy, I know you are a person that is at least able to understand the expansion that I just offered. And also understand that, yes, it's not something that happens overnight. But I've given you food for thought and ultimately food for the soul. Happy expansion. And also khona sisi, because now you've got iNkanyamba energy. That's why looking actually will resonate with you. You've been looking for ways to expand your heart. I'm talking to all of you now. You've all been looking for ways to expand your heart space. Oh, Ngosam. Guys, me, I love how this card comes up when I speak about iNkanyamba, because it's just like, haha, yes. Like, because like I said, yo, guys, this is so beautiful. Again, Kanyamba energy is ultimately indescribable, but the nature of that energy, we can talk about certain aspects of it. La nala. Sibeke lokhu nalokhu, because it is experiential. Niyezwa nani lento engiqeda ukuyichaza. It's experiential. It's not just knowledge, words. Singasho kanjalo, because knowledge is experience. Like, it's not just words nje where you have to hear words. No, but uyezwa, the words come into you and they begin to grow a certain tree within you where there's more. It even almost wants you to wish for a certain experience so that you can test yourself out and be like, okay. So, uzen ute in this experience, this is how I must. Yes, that's how I want you to feel. You're on the right track. And again, African Fairy, thank you so much for your comments. You've allowed us to have a whole lesson. So thank you for that. And I hope I've done right by you. Guys, yes, you're in the process of creating a new face that you're going to walk into. This speaks to the same energy as before when I was telling you guys about walking into a new reality. Before the reality changes, you must change. Before the reality changes, you must change. And you can't just change your mask. Notice how I haven't said mask here. If I have, it's a mistake. I've said face. Basically a new identity, a new way of seeing things, a way which cracks open a certain way you've seen before, where before you said, I am for something like this, and now your experience has taught you different because you've been through a certain experience and you realize that thing you were for, it didn't help you. If anything, it actually really fucked you up. And now you understand, I'm actually against something like this. Or even better, you understand that there are certain situations that this it's good for you, but there are other situations where this is actually bad for me. And at the end of the day, guys, some of you maybe are afraid to change. I think it's natural because change is scary. Some of you have found solace in thinking of yourselves as less than, even the word a victim. See, again, this talk is not to say you feeling like a victim is wrong, but I have to speak to the people that are also transitioning out of that, where It's like I've spoken about this before, where with some of you, it's time for you to leave the hospital. You are well. But you feel as though as soon as you leave the hospital, you'll just go back to who you were before. You'll just go back to not being well again. You feel safer in the hospital. All that antiseptic smell is making you feel like cleaner. It's like, nah, I think I'm good here. Out there, like, no. This reminds me of the same people that say things like, I've raised my vibration and all that. It's just people out there. Like, people are messed up. Ooh, look, guys, as long as we're not fundamentally from an inner world perspective, the change has been made. Then, as soon as you step outside, then the reality will be different. That's why it's the reality does not change unless when a parati you've changed. And you'll know that the change has occurred because your heart space has expanded. How do you know your heart space has expanded? Because you have more love for yourself. You have more compassion for yourself. You have compassion for that version of yourself that was in the victim state because you understand why he or she, why that version of yourself felt like a victim because they were being victimized, because someone was making them purposely feel that way, or certain situations called for them to feel that way. But after being able to change the form of that energy, aka to transmute that energy, you are now in a different stage. But you still have so much love for all the states, for all the phases. That's also part of iNkanyamba energy. You do not hate your previous self. You do not hate who you used to be when you were wanting, when you were greedy, when you were jealous, when you were not a right person. No, you understand. You are compassionate towards yourself because ultimately that's not just like iNkanyamba and the definition. You can step into that face, you can flow into it, but ultimately that's not who you are because you are so much more. Okay, guys, that's what I have for you guys today. I realized we also brought in some stuff from yesterday's reading, but like I said, I felt like I needed to expand because African fairies comment, I feel like a lot of people feel like that, and yeah, I wanted to do right by you guys, and I hope that I have. So yeah, if you want to book a personal reading, all the information is in the description box. If you want to book a mentorship session, all that information is also in the description box. Guys, thank you for all the love and the support. Thank you for lendlela eningiphatha ngayo, and I aim to continuously do right by you guys. So, okay, sure.